Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 67. On the heels of the draft, just finished today. Pretty eventful draft for the Bears. Generational type draft. Ryan Poles' legacy's on the line. Caleb Williams wants to be, we say, immortal. So a few interesting things happened in the draft. Quarterbacks didn't go as high as we thought, or in the order that we thought they were going to go in. But before we get too far in it, like, follow, subscribe. We'll touch on what the Bears did first. First overall pick. We've all known it for months, even if myself included didn't want to accept it. Caleb Williams first. Roma Dunze at 9. Also somebody I wasn't really high on. Not that I don't think he's a good football player or he will be good. I just was hoping we got somebody on the defensive end. No second-round pick or Montez Sweat, if you want to count it as that. Then we had, I don't really know how to pronounce Karan. I don't really know how to pronounce him very well. Amadou DJ. The tackle from Yale, though, he visited. Tom talked about, I think, last week. Then we got the punter from Iowa, who I didn't know where he was on the radar. I honestly don't know much about him, and I'm pretty in tune with the Big Ten. I didn't realize how good he was, but I watched a little tape. Not very high on punters because of that, but I have to give Poles grace to fill out his plan.
Well, I mean, that too, and you got to realistically think last year, and I'm sure just as anybody, I'd be watching the games and it'd be fourth down and we're punting, and it's like a 36, 37-yard, net punt. And you're like, what the fuck? What was that? At least with this guy, they're calling him Legatron and like a whole bunch of other shit. I guess he's one of the better punter prospects in the draft over the last, 2 decades or whatever the case may be. But he averages, I mean, he's got a booming leg and he's pinpoint accurate, putting the ball in, pinning the ball inside the 10, inside the 5. And special teams, I know we knock on special teams a lot, but having a good punter, you don't know what you're missing until you actually have one. So I kind of give him credit, with that. It's just like you said, it's fulfilling his plan, so to speak, and special teams is a big plan.
And we didn't have too many holes. Like I said, I was big on defense, and I do think we should pick a DN, but a lot of them had been gone by that point, by the time we were drafting in the 3rd and 4th round. So it was really no point to reach on anybody. And then we closed it out. We traded back into this draft a 4th round pick next year for a 5th round pick this year. And we got Austin Booker. He had 8 sacks, project guy. I think he's going to just be a 3rd down type of guy coming out there to pass rush. Nothing special. Hopefully he is, but we'll see. But all in all, I
liked the tape on Austin Booker. He's a very raw product, and I think we see that with a lot of Ryan Poles' draft picks. Is especially from the smaller schools, is that he likes taking guys that are young, athletic, physically gifted, and then bringing them in for an opportunity to be coached and allowing them to possibly become starters. We saw that with, I'm drawing a blank. Our left tackle now, Braxton Jones. He was a 5th round. Yeah, he was a 5th rounder, small school guy, came in, and he's exceeded expectations. And I feel like that's going to be our 3rd round pick, the tackle from Yale. He's very raw as well, but he's huge. The man is massive. He's very athletic for his size. He's also he's got very long arms, which is good for a pass blocking left tackle or right tackle. He'll probably be a swing tackle for right now, just so he can grow a little bit and then move over potentially to that left tackle spot at some point. And you got your bookend tackles. If it works out that way, you got your bookend tackles. You got your left tackle and your right tackle for the foreseeable future. You got your number 1 wide receiver, your future number 1 wide receiver, at least you hope. You got your number 1 quarterback. This draft turned out to be really, really well. And like I said, the thing with the punter, and people can make fun of this if they want, but realistically, that's the potential to be a punter for the next. Granted, he's going to be 27 when the season starts, but punters can go forever, man. So realistically, that's your punter for the next 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, and
like it's
It's a weird draft, the first one after the NIL, or the second one, I guess, with it like fully implemented. So I don't think there was gonna, like you said, he was a older guy in the late rounds. There was not going to be a lot of gems in the late rounds, just because the younger guys might be more willing to stay because they're getting paid.
Yeah. Well, plus he's from Australia. He's
Yeah.
not, he's an Aussie. I think he started late in terms of schooling and everything else anyway. But you said this draft is weird, and you were right. We did not expect um Michael Penix to go eighth.
The Falcons.
That
I
that
wouldn't
sent
honestly. I wouldn't say I
shockwaves.
didn't expect him not to go eight. I didn't expect it to be the Falcons. I wouldn't. I wasn't more. I wasn't surprised he went at eight. I guess I was surprised he went before JJ McCarthy. Um, but I was just shocked that Atlanta did that. It just doesn't make any sense. There was footage that came out that looked like the owner wasn't happy. He didn't say that. The GM denied it, but it just was weird. Looked like right after they took Penix, the owner came down and was having a conversation with the GM, and it didn't look friendly. They weren't shaking hands, they weren't hugging, they
Yeah.
weren't high fiving. So whatever they want, whatever way they want to try and spin it, it looked like the owner didn't know that's what the plan was. And just very weird. Because if you wanted a young guy, why pay Kirk? I mean, this isn't the day. I mean, I know I was talking about it, take a quarterback, stash him, but this really just isn't that day and age. And this isn't his first year as a GM either, so it's like you could be gone before Penix even gets on the field.
Yeah, he said, if Penix sits 4 or 5 years, that's a good problem to have because you're getting production out of that position. And it's like, wait a minute, like Penix is 24 years old. If he's sitting 4 or 5 years, he's gonna be 28, 29 years old by the time, and then you're gonna have to pick up his 5th year option without having him see him play quarterback for a season. Like that just it struck me as odd, especially since you just gave Kirk Cousins all that money guaranteed. And if you drafted a quarterback in the third, fourth round or whatever, as a potential, backup or whatever, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? But they're giving Kirk Cousins the Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers treatment, drafting their replacement. I mean, granted, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers wasn't taken in the top 10. Neither was Jordan Love. They were taken in the 20s. And usually with a top 10 pick, you're looking for an impact starter right away. It's somebody that you put on the field as a rookie and they're going to go, they're going to play for your team. And that's not the case here. And it's just, like you said, it's odd.
That's kind of how it
Um,
felt with the Roman Dunze pick to get back on the Bears. Not like I said, I think he's good. I think he will be good in the future. I just think best case scenario for him is he's our fourth option on offense.
yes, I get that. And like I kept saying too, there's no guarantee Keenan Allen's here after this year. And even if he is, it's probably on a second year or whatever. You had the opportunity to draft somebody who potential wise, talent wise, could be your number one wide receiver someday. So having him come in and be the number three to learn behind one definite Hall of Famer. Keenan Allen is 13 years in the league. He's been outstanding. And DJ Moore, two of the best pure route runners and, two of the best guys to learn from that you could possibly learn from. You can't go wrong with that. And
I see
that's,
that. It's just I feel that it makes this season a throwaway season. I've been talking about
uh,
it for
I don't think so.
because, but I'm just based on the picks they made. All the picks they made are for Caleb next year or the year after that. Like, so that's all I'm saying. Like, the tackle, like you said, he's sitting for a year. Next year, hopefully, he'll fight for the starting spot and push Draxton Jones to left guard, or he'll play guard. Same thing with the Dunze. He's going to play, you know what I mean, intermediately. He'll probably be out there half the time. You know what I mean, it's the new NFL. Third wide receiver's getting a lot of snaps, but he's just probably going to get the fourth or fifth amount of touches.
Yeah,
Um,
but you also have to take into account Keenan Allen's injury history. He hasn't exactly been the most healthy wide receiver, playing a full 17 game season, especially at his age. So, what do you do in that case?
I
You had
mean,
the
in my head,
opportunity.
if in that case, I mean, I'm not saying to not draft a wide receiver at all, but God forbid Keenan Allen would have went down, we still would have had DJ Moore and Cole Kmet, who are okay. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. but you're trying to do something that you've never done for a rookie quarterback in the history of your team, and that is set them up for success in every way possible. And we keep talking about it. You can never have enough weapons. You can never have enough weapons. And you
I
just
mean,
said it 10 minutes ago that it's a new age NFL.
well, I
You
agree that
can
you
never
can't have
have
enough
enough.
weapons, but all that to the side, the best teams. I mean, we talk about okay, Purdy had a great year. Mahomes was obviously awesome. He's you and me probably the best quarterback that's ever going to play. But the two teams in the Super Bowl had two top 10 defenses. So yes, you can
Absolutely.
have a bunch of weapons and all that stuff, but we still have to have a top 10 defense if we
Yeah.
want to be good.
I
And that's
mean,
why I'm saying like I'm not saying it's a complete throwaway. But what I'm saying is like we didn't make any picks really. I thought outside, I guess, Keenan Allen to put us over the hump for this season.
well, nobody's saying we're going to win the Super Bowl this year.
No, I mean,
Realistically, if you were saying that you were expecting the Bears to compete for a Super Bowl this year, you're kind of that's kind of that's
I mean,
reaching up
I
there for the
just think if we
stars.
would have like got a guy in free agency and drafted like let's say Dallas Turner or something like that, I just think we would have been on that pace. If you think Caleb's going to be top 15 quarterback, we would be a Super Bowl I mean, a contender at least. You never like one injury in the NFC and we'd be fine. Like
We're gonna make the playoffs either way. We have to.
what I'm just saying is like
We have to.
the Packers were a game, you know what I mean, a game and a half away from the Super Bowl, and they had Jordan Love and a young team. So the NFC
Jordan
isn't.
Love, I get that, but Jordan Love had also been in the league for 4 years prior to that,
Yeah,
and
but
yeah, this
what
was
I'm
his
saying is,
first year starting, but and
what I'm
yeah,
saying
he
is,
had
I
a
think
bunch of
Caleb will have a
inexperienced.
similar
You're
season
right.
as Jordan
You're
Love
right.
had. I'm guessing.
But we
Like,
also we also have to consider the coaching as well.
yeah, I mean, again,
You and
yeah,
I both harp on Matt Eberflus and whether or not that was the right decision to stick with him. Um, and you and I both agree that it probably wasn't, but who knows? We'll see. I just Matt LaFleur and Matt Eberflus in terms of coaching, I just feel like that's a little bit of a different level. Matt LaFleur is an excellent coach. Um, and that's yet to be seen from Matt Eberflus. I mean, he's blown some leads. He's made some questionable calls, and I know all coaches have, but they seem to be more the norm for him, and that's got to change this season if the Bears expect to do anything within the next 3 or 4 years. You know what I'm saying? So I'm realistically I'm really looking forward to this season. I draft. The draft came and went. It went how we kind of expected it to go.
yes,
I know you didn't want wide receiver at 9.
yeah.
I
And
kind of
I don't think
figured
he's bad. I don't want to put that out there. Again, I don't think he's terrible. I think he's really good. I think he's a top 10 pick. I just thought,
the positions that we said needed to be addressed, with
yeah,
the exception of punter, um, got addressed.
yeah,
They got a quarterback, they got a wide receiver, they got depth on the offensive line, they got depth on the defensive line with the edge rusher. And they, kind of surprised me with the punter pick, but I understood the punter pick because realistically, I don't even know who our punter is. I just know he sucks.
he was
Like
bad.
he's terrible.
Yeah.
And like I
I
said,
mean,
they're
I
calling this
understand it
guy.
from that edge. We'll see if he comes out and he's a baller, then that'll
Well,
make
they're
sense.
calling
But
this guy the punt god and Legatron and all this other stuff. It kind of he doesn't have the leg that like that Matt Arieza dude had from
yeah,
Buffalo that got wrongly accused and he's still out of the league, which is bullshit. Um, but he's like I said,
yeah,
he's from
definitely.
what I understand, from what I've seen, he was
He
Iowa
was really
didn't
good.
have an
Yeah,
offense. Iowa didn't have an offense. He was Iowa's offense.
yeah,
Being able to pin teams inside their 10-yard line on a consistent basis is an extreme, especially with the defense, the opportunistic defense that the Bears have. That's a very good weapon to have at your arsenal. Um, but Caleb did text him after he was drafted and
yeah. I saw
said,
that.
yeah, said, you won't be punting a lot. I like that. It's not arrogant. It's a little cocky, but you got to kind of have that
I will
confidence
say
walking
this
in.
too. I've been hard on Caleb about being a diva and all that, but this last week or so, he's put all that to rest for me. I'm not so rigid that I can't say that I was wrong and I was wrong. But that's the vibes he was putting off, and so, or you know what I mean. Other people were putting off for him. We didn't get to see him, but seems like a really personable kid. Um, honestly, I don't get diva vibes from him. Really, he seems like a weirdo, like a nerd type guy to me, more so than like a Aaron Rodgers or something like that. He seemed like kind of a goofball.
He
Um,
does seem like a goofball.
which I do like. So he won me over in that respect. He hasn't done anything Diva related. He's been really down to earth. He was on the Pivot podcast and things like that, and he was really personable. He's been really in tune with the fans. I'm thinking with the Roman Dudes thing. I think he told Poles that he wanted him and he liked him, and I think Poles went out and got
Well,
him for
he
him.
told him, he said his first choice would be Olo Fashanu because he played high school ball with him and he said that he knows that Olu would die for him. That's what he said. That's what he told Poles. He said, but if we come away with any of the three wide receivers, he'd be happy. Um, so yeah, I'm sure Caleb had some input, you know, and I'm kind of glad that they didn't take Olo Fashanu at number 9 because that would have made me a little bit more upset. Like if Joe Alt was there and they took Joe Alt, I would have understood. Olu Fashanu though at 9 when Roma Dudze was on the board, Brock Bowers was on the board, Dallas Turner was on the board. I would have been a little bit more upset about
Yeah,
that
me
because
too. I think as well. Yeah,
tackle wasn't a huge need because Braxton Jones is still a serviceable left tackle.
yeah, he's
Um,
not that bad.
so you didn't need somebody unless it was a Joe Alt. That Joe Alt would have been the only tackle I would have been okay with
I'm
them taking.
surprised he went at 5. I mean, I'm big on Harbaugh, and I knew. I mean,
I
we all
kind I
know
kind of knew I
we
kind
all
of
know how
knew that
Harbaugh
was
likes to
going to
build,
happen.
but they
I
didn't they
just
just pick a franchise left tackle like 2 years ago?
yeah, they're going to move him to right, and that's going
But
to
isn't he
and
good
it
though?
yeah, he is. He's very good. And that's the thing is that this team, the Chargers, John Hart, it's no longer going to be the air it out. You know what
Oh
I'm
yeah, I
saying?
know
Yeah,
that, right?
they're gonna bully people at the line of scrimmage, and it's gonna be a run it down your throat kind of thing. And
I was actually surprised though,
John
honestly.
Harbaugh's kind of that old school. You know what I'm saying? And I get it, but he's
Mm,
got to kind of worry about innovating his offense a little bit to kind of
yeah.
bring it
Yeah, I mean he's
bring it
got
to
Herbert. They pay him
times.
a lot of money, and they're just not
Yeah,
gonna have. They don't
absolutely.
have the running back to do it.
Did you
Um,
hear? Did you hear what New England turned down for number 3 from
yes,
Minnesota?
I did. That was interesting. Like they must be really high on Drake May. For
Do you know why they're high on Drake May?
no,
Because Kevin O'Connell was high on Drake May.
no.
That was the reason why New England did not pull the trigger. They said that Kevin O'Connell wanted Drake May so badly that it convinced New England to take Drake May because Kevin O'Connell wanted him that bad.
Will be interesting. And then so JJ McCarthy ended up Minnesota, got picked the 4th quarterback off the board, top 10. Um, and then they ended up getting Dallas Turner at 17, which they had a little, you know what I mean, a bootleg, greater value version of basically what the Texans did last year, a blue chip prospect quarterback, blue chip, you know what I mean, the number one rated DN. And we'll see how that goes for Minnesota. They might turn it around. So a lot like says the draft was weird. I think the first defender was taken at 15. I don't know. I don't
Yeah,
know if
it
that's
was
ever
taken
happened. Is
at
that the
15.
latest? I'd have to look that up.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, because that was real. Like, yeah, Lotu or Latu, or he
Yeah.
was the first defender taken at pick 15, which is crazy.
Yep.
I was
14 straight
shocked
offensive
Dallas
players
Turner
to
made
start
it
the
out of
draft.
the top 10. That was crazy to me. And what was it? I got it written down.
I'm
Five
surprised there
quarterbacks,
was
nine
I'm
offensive linemen, seven wide receivers.
yeah, I'm
21.
surprised I'm surprised there wasn't more trades. The only team that traded really was Minnesota moving up twice.
No, the Jet. Oh yeah, they moved up with the Jets. Yeah, they took the
Yeah.
Jets pick. Yeah,
And
that
then they
was it.
moved up to 17 to
And
pick
then
Dallas Turner.
the Chiefs moved up to the Bills spot to take
Yeah.
Worthy. They ended
Like I
up
said,
getting
in that first
Tyreek
round,
Hill.
there wasn't a lot. And Minnesota
Yeah,
did 2 of the trades. So we were expecting fireworks, and there wasn't even any fireworks. Brandon Ayuk and Debo are still 49ers.
oh yeah,
There
Higgins.
was a lot of
Yeah,
talk. T.
I
Higgins
think
requested a trade.
I think the Carolina Panther memes and what Ryan Poles did kind of scared a lot of people off
Oh, absolutely.
from doing a crazy deal, because it's like in the moment when they made the trade for Bryce Young, everyone was like, "Oh, that's not that bad." You know what I mean? That's just what you pay to get the first pick in the draft. But then a year later, when they're putting the memes up, and it's like the Bears got Caleb Williams, Tyreek Stevenson, Darnell Wright. You know what I mean? We still got another second coming, like DJ Moore, and it's like, holy shit! And it's like, even if Bryce Young is good, that's still a shit ton to have given up for that pick.
Yeah, you're
And
talking about potentially 4 Pro Bowlers.
yes,
Because I mean, Darnell Wright's going to be a future Pro Bowler at
oh
some
yeah, he
point.
was a top.
Tyreek
I think he
Steve,
was like top 6 tackle.
Tyreek Stevenson is on his
He's
way.
got one or two in him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he
he's a
he
ball
he's
hawk.
on his way.
Caleb
And
for
then
sure is going to
yeah,
be in a
DJ
few.
Moore. You
Yeah,
know what I'm
like,
saying? Like
and that
that's a
yeah,
lot.
and I
That's a
think that's good.
lot
But when
to
I
give up.
saw that they turned that down 11-23, just the position
And
the
a next
Patriots,
year's first.
yeah, and the position the Patriots are in, it's like they just kind of needed that. And yeah, I
And they
guess
could have gotten McCarthy.
yeah, you end up with McCarthy, then you know what I mean. You get Dallas Turner. I mean, in this theory, you would have ended up with McCarthy, Dallas Turner, and then had the Vikings pick next year. And it's like best case scenario, the Vikings, even with Drake May, are going to win what 7 games. Like they're not. They lost
Yeah,
Hunter.
you're picking top 10 again.
Yeah, so it's like that's why I would have done it. And again, you could have just moved up and got whoever moved up and got Penix or whoever if that's who he was on everybody's board higher than McCarthy. Um, but I think Penix has got to be pissed. I don't know what they're going to do. I think I guess we saw with the Russell Wilson thing that teams really don't care about that cap hit. They're like,
I mean,
whatever.
it's only really when you break it down, it's only a 2-year deal
Yeah.
for Kirk Cousins because it's 100 million guaranteed. So after year two, they could probably walk away and wash their hands with it. But also, I think Atlanta's like, if you were scared about his injury history with this Achilles, why'd you give him 100 million guaranteed in the
Why'd
first
you
place?
draft a guy with the same like injuries?
Yeah,
Like some like I don't
with
know.
like no knee
And if the plan
and
was to sit him for 4 years, why not get Spencer Rattler or Joe Milton or somebody else? If the plan is they're gonna make him good, um,
it was very head scratching.
it's very and just at 8 too. It's like man, like they
You
could
could
have
have
traded
traded out.
back.
Yep. And you probably could have got him in the 20s, honestly, because there really wasn't another team after Minnesota and Denver because
Maybe Denver, but Peyton came
Peyton was
out and
going to take Bo
said
Nix anyway.
that's what he said. I don't know if I believe. I don't know, but he did say that. I actually wrote that down in my notes too. That Peyton was pretending. He said that he like baited them into trading up one spot, and he was like bragging about it. But I don't. Is that like a good brag that you think Bo Nix is good? Like I don't like. We'll see. It was a very interesting draft. The tide has turned the NFL. A lot of new young quarterbacks coming in. Still a few that might get a chance to prove that they're good. I mean, Zach Wilson is going to be fighting for a spot. Justin Fields still be fighting for a spot.
Mhm.
Um, and then Caleb's coming in, Drake May, Jaden Daniels. I mean, they're going to get the keys right away, so it'll be fun to watch them. JJ McCarthy's not going to be. Maybe he'll sit a year behind Sam Darnold. I don't know. I guess I think it would be good for him. I like JJ a lot, and I think he has a lot of the tools, but he sat a year in Michigan. They brought him in to be, a gadget player here and there. I think that might work for him. I don't, regardless of what the Vikings do, I don't think if Darnold or JJ they're going to win more than, like I said, 7 games. They'd be lucky. Um, but yeah, the Bears had a great draft. The new era has begun. It's time to, you know what I mean? If you're still resenting the move to get behind Caleb, we're all Bears fans. It's time to get behind Caleb and be hopeful for the future. And I think we got a lot to look forward to. Poles did his thing. Caleb's locked and loaded. Worst case scenario, we got a top 15 defense. I mean, if we and all our defense is young, and we got to hope too that all these guys take another step as well, and be even better. Kyler Gordon will be better. Brisker will be better. Pickens, Dexter, all these guys are going to be even better. So I'm really excited to see what is happening. And then on top of all that, we got the news of the new stadium. Looks
Yep,
amazing.
it does. Where's
Um,
the parking?
yeah,
That's the
I didn't
one
see
thing
that
I saw in
either.
the render is
Well,
that
it's like McCormick Place, right? Like the personal parking was never very good at Soldier Field anyway.
no,
Everybody parked at like McCormick Place or somewhere else. So I don't know what they're gonna do. But yeah, even if, like it's gonna be a journey to get there, but looks like it's gonna be
the new renderings do look
amazing.
amazing.
And I think the city deserves that. Soldier Field is iconic, but the Bears are too big to be sharing a fucking field with fucking soccer teams and all type of stuff. Like the Bears are the Bears. We have to have the
Well,
best of
and
the
here's the
best.
thing. That's the thing, though, and maybe a lot of people don't understand this. It's going to happen at that new stadium anyway. The Bears won't own it. It's going to be a publicly owned stadium, just
Yeah,
like
but I'm not
Soldier
saying
Field.
like concerts, but are they still going to be having the high school games
Yes,
there? Well, I don't know.
probably
Yeah,
because, like I said, it's going to be public. It's publicly funded. So from my understanding is
Well, I know
is
it's
that it's
still
going to
publicly
be.
funded, but I don't know. Like almost
I
all the
don't.
stadiums are publicly funded though, to an
Yeah, but
extent.
I don't think the Bears are taking sole ownership of that building. I think
Okay.
it's still going to be a city of Chicago thing. Uh, isn't going to get involved like Soldier Fields where they had, like the contract and everything else like that. But I still think the city of Chicago will have a say in it. I mean, I'm really hoping realistically that they, since it's going to be domed and everything else like that, we'll get Final Fours in there. You know, we'll get some, hopefully we get a WrestleMania in there again. WrestleMania in Chicago. That would be again, that'd be in a stadium bigger than the Allstate Arena. You know what I'm saying? I think that would be awesome to have. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna pay for itself. I mean,
Okay.
there's so with what they had out there, um, just the way they made it look, all the public areas around it and everything else like that, and just where it's at, the location right there on the lakefront. It's beautiful. And if it turns out to look like that, I am all for it. Yeah, it kind of sucks that it's not going to be in Arlington because I think they had such a huge opportunity in Arlington, and Arlington Heights kind of dropped the ball on that. But realistically, you're the Chicago Bears and you've been in the city, since you moved from Decatur and where the Decatur Staleys, you've been at Wrigley Field, you've been at Soldier Field, you've been in Chicago. And with all the stuff that's happening with the White Sox and the potential sale of that team and everything else like that, the city of Chicago needed to win. Um, and the mayor is saying that this is not going to be any new taxes for taxpayers in the city of Chicago. I'll believe that when I see it. But if that's the case, um, then it is a big W for the city of Chicago. It's a big W for the Chicago Bears. New generation, new stadium. Hopefully we
Yeah.
have a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback leading the team. And we still have DJ Moore, Rome Odunze. I think he said 2028 is when he wants to have it built.
Yeah.
So
Wonder where
uh,
are they gonna play in Soldier Field while they're building it?
yes.
And then what, maybe the year
Yes.
before knock it down and then like that year.
No,
Oh,
so Soldier Field's staying.
okay.
It's not where Soldier Field is at. Soldier Field is
Well, I
staying.
know that, but I thought they might tear it down to like make
No, I'm
parking
sure
or do
they'll
something. So
no, I'm sure they'll
then we
use.
wouldn't have to worry about them doing anything besides like concerts or anything big at the stadium. That's what I'm saying. Like
Yeah,
the
I'm
high school
assuming.
games and the soccer games will probably still be.
Yeah, I think Soldier Field's still staying
Yeah,
because that's a Park District thing, and
yeah.
I don't think they're gonna go for them removing that. Hell, maybe that's the home of a second Chicago team sometime in the future.
Right.
You
No
never know.
fucking. Well, good. Like you said, looking up for Chicago, we got Bedard, we got Caleb Williams, Angel Reese on the sky. The Cubs aren't looking too bad. The White Sox will probably be out of here, so at least that'll be addition by subtraction. We won't be so bad because they're leaving. Um, and while the Bulls are still the lowly Bulls.
Yeah,
But I guess that's about it. Great draft for the Bears. I'd say A for Ryan Poles. I think almost every draft he's had has been a good one. I've had my doubts um, on plenty of things. He hasn't been perfect. I mean, in my eyes, but what the fuck do I know? Um, but I am ready for the season. I'm locked and loaded. I want to see these guys out there, throwing balls and catching passes. And I'm ready for the Hall of Fame game. And I'm guessing we're going to end up on Hard Knocks. Based on what I've seen from Caleb, I think they're going to want him on there. I think he'll be able to handle it just fine. He's very charismatic for the camera. He's
they need
goofy.
to. They
He's
need to.
goofy. I don't think it'll be a distraction. I think they'll be fine. Um, and I don't see the NFL letting the Bears skate this.
Yeah, they need to. That I'd definitely be watching that if they were on Hard
Everybody
Knocks
will
this
be.
year.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But bear down. We'll see you guys next week. Like, follow, subscribe. Yeah, and we'll see you next week.
See
Adios,
you next
buddy.
week.